All right, everybody, we are live with the Combatcast. And after some fights this past weekend, we're going to talk about all kinds of fights coming up. Chevy, tell people what we got coming up.
All right, August 19th, UFC 292, Sterling versus O'Malley. It's shaping up to be a pretty good card. And August 26th, UFC Fight Night, Holloway versus the Korean Zombie. I'm not looking forward to that one. Big fan of both guys. Don't think it's going to be... I think it's going to be a relatively one-sided fight. But anyway, we'll get to that. And then September 2nd, UFC Fight Night, Gane versus Spivak. That'll be an early card because that's from France.
Okay. Yeah, Gane versus Spivak. I'm mostly excited for UFC 292 out of all those.
Yeah, then we're going to get a couple real early cards. So I think the France one's at 3, and the Korean Zombie one, I think, is in Singapore. So it's like 8 a.m. or something like that for us here. So early Saturday morning fights.
Now, I know we didn't talk about this, but I just want to say I watched pretty much a lot of the Nate Diaz Jake Paul fight, and I do have to say, even though it wasn't big on our radar, we pretty much called that exactly how we thought. Like Jake Paul probably would, but Nate would come on strong at the end, and that is kind of what happened. And I was like, wow, this is kind of predictable here too.
Yeah. I saw that Jake knocked him down, almost put him through the ropes early on in the fight. So yeah, I thought Jake would gas out more for sure. So
yeah, I'll give him credit for that. I thought he would have definitely gassed out a little more in the 10. I don't know still how serious Nate took this though. He put a guillotine choke on him at one point, and
I don't think he takes anything serious anymore.
Yeah, and I know Jake wants to do the MMA fight, but I was like, that just seems like.
I think Nate's coming back to the UFC. Like the way that Dana's been talking about him and everything, I think they want to do that Conor trilogy because Conor's trash and Nate's trash, so they can fight each other for a lot of money, but nobody gets embarrassed.
Right.
Except for the fans. The fans can be embarrassed for both of them.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
All right. What about Derek Lewis re-signing?
Yeah, re-signed an 8-fight deal. I can't imagine he fights many more than 8 fights, so probably retiring with the UFC. So we're not going to see that Francis fight most likely unless Francis comes back. So still get to see exciting fights in the Black Beast though. So happy to see that.
Yeah, I don't think at the end of the day, I can't speak for the guy, but maybe Derek was just, he's happy to stay with the UFC. They might have made him a hell of an offer too.
I think he was making good money beforehand too, so I'm sure he's doing even better now.
Yeah.
I mean, when you hold the record for knockouts in a promotion, they got to pay you.
That's true. You're fun. You're a fun fighter. Did you see this past weekend's fights?
I did. Before we get into that, I just want to shout out tomorrow. We went over it last week, but Brennan Ward, local fighter Brennan Ward is fighting Storley for a probable title eliminator. That'll be tomorrow. So shout out to Brennan Ward. We're rooting for you here. Good luck.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's talk about last week's card. So we're just going to talk about co-main and main event, Jessica Andrade versus Tatiana Suarez. I said Tatiana would sub her in the second round.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in the third round, but she got it done in the second round. She looked fantastic. Andrade is really struggling right now. I mean, that was a very tough matchup for her, obviously, but she has quite a few losses in a row now. I don't know what's next for her. I don't think that she's in decline or anything like that. I think she's just unlucky and coming across these girls at the wrong time. So go ahead. As far as Tatiana, she's a problem for everyone in the division. I really want to see her against Zhang, so I hope Zhang wins her next fight. Can't remember her opponent.
Jan.
Jan. Yep. She's fighting Jan. So I'm hoping that Zhang wins because I think Tatiana ragdolls Jan. But Zhang's been working with Cejudo on her wrestling. She's so powerful. I think that would be a very interesting matchup. Definitely better on the feet. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to see next after she gets past Yan.
She doesn't fight Yan. I can only think of, once you beat Jessica Andrade, I would think it's got to be Rose Namajunas or
she's moving up. Rose is moving up. That's the only reason I didn't mention her. So
Amanda Lemos, or maybe the other one. It's kind of top.
Yeah.
So that would be like she's either fighting for the title, waiting for the title next already, or if she wants another fight, then it has to be probably Lemos or somebody like that. I would think. So, but she's ready to fight for the title.
For sure. All right, let's talk about the main event. Obviously disappointing for a number of reasons. The fight was very, very boring. Out of the fighter's control. You got to do what you got to do to win. Unfortunately, Corey Sandhagen suffered a tricep injury. Tricep is one of the most important muscles for athletics in any athletics you're doing. I don't know if people realize that, but he had a fully torn tricep in the first round. So for him to be able to wrestle top 5 bantamweight Rob Font, even on short notice, was impressive. Yeah. Fight was boring. I agreed. We talked about that with our friend Scott in the group chat. Very, very boring fight, but when it comes out that Corey was injured, I get it for sure. I'm wondering if he's going to get punished for this, though. Maybe instead of getting a title shot next, which he probably deserves, he has to fight, ends up fighting Magomedov or ends up fighting Merab, 2 tough matchups. But
yeah, and Sterling, he might be leaving the division anyway if he beats O'Malley.
Yeah. I think all the money fights are gone at that point.
Sterling's got to be the favorite. I like Sterling, but God, I think it's got to be better for everybody if O'Malley wins.
Yeah, not better for me. I hope Sterling wins.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there's more money fights for these other guys, and probably even because I gotta feel like if O'Malley beats Sterling, he catches him. So I feel like Sterling is a tougher matchup for anybody too.
It would be good, I guess, story wise, if Sterling gets caught and he loses the belt and he goes up to featherweight anyway, and then Merab, who just comes for revenge for his teammate and ragdolls Sean around, because Merab's going to end up being the champ, and he's going to be the champ for a while, I think. So
yeah, I think they got that storyline about the jacket too. So.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so we'll see.
All right.
Let's talk about this weekend's fights coming up. We're just going to go over the co-main and main events, but there are some notable fighters on here. This is pretty good. Not a lot of big names, but pretty good matchmaking for a card. So just heads up for Terrence McKinney, Josh Fremd, AJ Dobson, Iasmin Lucinda. She had that debut fight against Iasmin a few years ago. It was tremendous. And then of course third on the bill, Rountree versus Daukus. Chris Daukus is moving down to light heavyweight, so we're going to see how he looks there, but that's a great matchup too.
Yeah, and Rountree is one of those guys at times he just looks like the complete fighter. I feel like consistency may be the issue with him, but
it's a mentality thing, I think.
Yeah,
when he's on, he's a world beater.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's get into the co-main though. Cub Swanson versus Hakeem Dawodu.
All right, Swanson 28-13, 13 knockouts, 4 subs, 11 decisions. This guy's had performance of the night, fight of the night 6 times. He's just an exciting fighter. He's got tied with Conor McGregor and Chad Mendes for the second most knockouts in the UFC featherweight division history. He's got 3rd most total fight time in UFC featherweight division history. So he can put you away. He can have exciting fights, and he can go the distance. As for Hakeem, he's 13-3-1, 7 KOs, 6 decisions. And this guy is a Muay Thai kickboxing background. He was a champion. I think he was undefeated as a professional. He had 9, but he had a ton of amateur fights, something like 40, 50 amateur fights. So stylistically, this should be a really fun fight. They're probably going to bring it. There's probably going to be lots of kicks, punches, and all kinds of striking. at the end of the day, I love me some Cub Swanson, but I feel like he's getting a bit older in terms of fight years. And so I'm going to go with Hakeem on this. I'll go third round TKO because Cub's such a tough fight. I can see it maybe going second, but there's going to be a finish. I have a feeling either way.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun stand-up fight for sure. I think Cub is still just tough as nails. I know he did get finished. The only thing that's worried me about this fight is he got finished via leg kicks in the last one.
Yeah.
And Dawodu can kick the shit out of Cub's legs. So hopefully he, has been working on that a little bit. He'll come in prepared to check some of those. He can stop them early. And if he does that, I think he's going to make it a dog fight. He doesn't want to be in a technical fight with Hakeem. He wants to make it a dog fight, which he's excellent at. He's going to drag him to deep waters. I think he gets the TKO in round 3.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I hope you're right. I love me some Cub Swanson.
Yeah.
So.
Who doesn't? All right. Let's move on. Main event, Viciente Luque versus Rafael Dos Anjos.
Viciente Luque is 21-9-1, 11 KOs, 8 subs, 3 decisions. He's had performance of the night 4 times, second most finishes in UFC welterweight division history. He's tied with Stephen Thompson for third most post-fight bonuses in welterweight. So as a welterweight, this guy's a finisher. He's fun. RDA 32-14, 5 KOs, 11 subs, 16 decisions. This guy's a former lightweight champion. Fight night 3 times, performance of night 4 times. And he's also had most unanimous decisions wins in UFC history. So this guy, he's not in a boring fight though. Like usually these are going to be fun fights. He's been at welterweight for a long time now. He's one of the top welterweights. These guys been great at lightweight before. He's just all around one of the best fighters in the world. But he's getting a little older. But not to the point, like I think we talked about this in his last fight where I said with Brian Barberina he beat. And I said, I just don't feel like RDA is still good if he has all those tools. Now, that being said, Luque is a different animal. So I find this fight to be very good matchmaking and very competitive. I'm having a hard time picking a winner. So I'll go with RDA. I'm going to go 5 rounds decision. I think the cardio and RDA's experience will be the difference here.
Yeah. Also, Luque is returning after a bad KO loss to Jeff Neal. That was a very bad knockout. I think he actually had a brain injury or something.
Jesus, I didn't know that.
So he hasn't fought in a year. I just think that this is a very tough fight to come back to after that. I think RDA might be better everywhere still.
Yeah.
At 38 years old. I think he may just have, maybe not the power edge. He doesn't have the power edge. Maybe his jiu-jitsu is not quite as good, but he's better everywhere else. So I think it's going to be a pretty close fight, but I'm going to pick RDA to outpoint him with well-timed wrestling. So I'm going with the 5-round decision as well.
All right. RDA. So we disagreed on one, agreed on one. And I hope you're right on the other one too. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, a little short episode for you guys. Let's go through the schedule again. August 19th, UFC Fight Night, UFC 292 from Boston. Sterling versus O'Malley for the bantamweight belt. Then we'll be going to Singapore for August 26th, UFC Fight Night Holloway versus the Korean Zombie. And then September 2nd, UFC Fight Night Gane versus Spivak, heavyweight matchup from France.
All right, guys. Just a quick episode this week. We'll see you next week. We'll talk about more fights.